Hello, salutations. What it do? It's not the gamer. All father do that gang. No vibes like subscribe. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
For the sake of
be heard.
According to Discord, you can be. Leave it up to the chat. Can they hear J Shock Blast?
Sheesh. All right, so we let's start off with apologies from us for Sadat being a Mac guy, and unfortunately, Mac had this terrible update apparently that crippled his Mac, and now we got it. So here we are. Sorry you missed us for a week.
Yes, unfortunately, I will not make that mistake again. Never update your Apple product. Ever.
Yeah, just get a new one.
Well, now we're all rolling in money.
I certainly am not.
No, he likes to just gently swim backwards in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead of roll.
I mean, trust me, we like Thor's vet bills. Eesh.
Oh yeah.
But you know,
crazy how much it costs to save a dog's life, but worth every penny.
Yeah. And let me just start off with a little bit of business. Thor plushie.
Yep.
Update. We were at 96.
Ooh.
And we had to get to 200, but I got an email from them last night, and we talked about it because obviously there's only 2 days left. And I basically told them, you keep all the money, and they said if we can hit 100, we'll make that happen. So we're 4 away. I think we're gonna do it. No, we're gonna do it because, like, honestly, if we get down to the buzzer, I'll just buy 4 more.
But yeah, we should definitely hit 4. Definitely do it.
The response today has been amazing. Like, a lot of people picking them up, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, this month has sucked. Okay, not just with the Thor stuff, but like, it really messes with your head to like see that number not move for days at a time. And I get it, you know what I mean? I understand it's a plush stuffed animal. A lot of people do not care about that
because they're monsters.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I would not begrudge anybody if they're not into that. You know what I mean? So, it means a lot to me, but that doesn't mean it means anything to anybody else. So,
absolutely.
But I appreciate, especially you for picking one up, and yeah. So
I mean, I was looking at my phone. I was like, I could order some food, or I could support J Shock Blast and get an adorable plushie. So it was a pretty easy choice. Well,
it means a lot, and I'm not going to forget the people that ended up helping me in supporting this because you know, you're the real ones, you know. So
the real MVPs, if you will.
I am a super like loyal person, so like that stuff really like means a lot to me. So, and everybody gets personal thank yous from Thor when he decides to actually look at the camera. So anyway, a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. We missed a week, but yeah, we actually got some new stuff to talk about now, obviously. But some of the stuff we wanted to talk. We were probably going to talk about the Mandalorian finale. We can do that again. I wanted to talk about Adam Driver going to the Fantastic Four potentially, but first I want to say what's up to the chat. Captay, Eastwood, what's up? I see you, Steven. I see y'all. I appreciate y'all for Action Spider. Appreciate y'all for braving the technical difficulties for this. It is greatly appreciated. Now, today I literally drew up. It's not so much I came up with a plan for the show today as much like I kind of thought about it throughout the day because I was just kind of chilling most of the day because holy, Gotham Knights dropped their DLC yesterday and that was a 10-hour stream. and I was done afterwards.
Yeah, I beat it. By the way, $29.99 for the plushies. I just saw Eastwood's question. I'll drop a link.
Nightbot will be sharing it periodically in the old chats, at least on the YouTube side. And I think I set up a command. I did! !Thor in the chat. !Thor in the chat. If you want to support J Shock Blast directly, or you just love dogs or plushies or some combination of that, up to you. !Thor, and Nightbot should have that pop up right for you.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on it too much, but like I tried everything. I tried all the like dog hashtags on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. Like it is what it is. So yeah, lots of stuff going on because dude, I'm exhausted too, because I only got through 5 floors on Gotham Knights yesterday. But mostly because I was trying to position myself so that I could like go as late into the night as possible doing Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Of course.
Worth it. But yeah, are we starting with Gotham Knights or
I was thinking we can let's see. Well, I think
we can cover it pretty quick.
So yeah, so the basic outline today, we're gonna I thought it'd be fun to rank the best Spider-Man leaks to PS5 leaks, because that was pretty hilarious. Everything that went on, we'll go over that. We'll talk a little Jedi Survivor. I haven't played it yet, but I wanted to talk about how people on Steam are quite upset with this game, and of course we'll talk a little Gotham Knights. So first things first, since that's pretty easy. Gotham Knights, of course, DLC. Hashtag Sadat was right again. Hashtag Sadat the Prophet. Hashtag never doubt me. They dropped DLC, which means our own Lejeune will be literally eating a raw lemon tomorrow on stream. He'll be playing a little Gotham Knights, and
let's try to do it on the show with us tonight.
That would be amazing. But June was on DCO. He was like, he's determined to do it just tomorrow. So we'll tune in for that. But they dropped the DLC. It wasn't the DLC people were hoping for. Obviously, people were hoping for new characters. Obviously, the people who just want Batman are weird. it's not happening, guys.
Here's the first thing I'll say. All right, so they dropped that image out of nowhere, like kind of quiet for a long time. Then they drop the image, and it's like the mind starts racing. And as soon as I saw that, I started kind of like digging, and I find out it's releasing literally the next day. So, and I find out what it is, and I'm like, why did you even bother with the image? Why didn't you just shadow drop it? Like, literally just drop it. Like, you don't, like, because now people are going to spend 24 hours, like, dreaming about something it's not going to be. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's awesome. Like, I actually found it to be very challenging. I played mostly with 3 people, so we kept having people like drop out and trying to replace them. I think they were all trying to get into your game, so
makes sense.
Including me, but never got the invite. But anyway,
you literally should have been there. You knew when it was coming out.
Yeah, I got tied up with something else as it started. So I had to I think I had Thor to the vet that day. So in any event, I mean, look, like it's cool, but like this is the last update, number 1. So
confirmed from J Shock Blast.
Yeah, I just from what I understand, it's probably the last update. I noticed that one of the game directors has already moved on to Wonder Woman. Because she follows me and she liked some of my tweets, and when I looked at her profile, it said, working on Wonder Woman now. So I guess that's cool. But like, what could have been with this game? Like, this game, like everything that Suicide Squad is gonna be, is what this game was perfectly positioned to be.
Yeah.
But the whiners on the internet don't want that. So it's insane to me what could have been. Like,
Yeah.
it was so perfect.
This is why it's so confusing that this is going to be the last update, because people, despite bitching about Suicide Squad, they actually wanted Gotham Knights to have that continued content. And I understand you're never gonna win over the babies who just want a Batman game every year. But I thought at the very least they would do something like the Arkham Knight model, drop a season pass, sell some content, and see the response from there. I'm very confused why they just, if this is true, just dropped 2 free updates and bounced. It's weird. Like, our understanding was that it sold well. It wasn't what they wanted, but it wasn't the number one game of the year, though. I mean, it would have been hard considering what came out that year.
Yeah.
People forget it was up against Forbidden West, Elden Ring, Call of Duty. This was quite a year. It was pretty good year for gaming, but it still ended up being a top 15 bestseller. And according to one of the marketing execs profiles, it met sales goals. But I'm confused why they didn't at least try to do one paid DLC or just a season pass, something. It's like it felt like they saw the reception. They saw that people weren't loving it, even though they were clearly playing it, and just was like, nah, let's just take our ball and go home and move on to another game. Like, I understand the studio itself is working on a new DC game, a single player game that's supposedly going to be open world, Unreal Engine 5, according to the job posting. I tried to get Patrick to confirm if it's Superman, but alas, Patrick was not budget. He was smart man at Patrick. It's hard to trick him, but it just seems premature. If this is now, were you told explicitly if this was the last update, or did you kind of, or were you trying to read between the lines?
Well, we'll say I'm reading between the lines
because it didn't say in the tweet it was
no.
it was going to be the last.
No, we'll say I'm reading between the lines, but
I was going off what you said, so I put it in the description and said that, and warn people, like, don't expect Deathstroke and Poison Ivy and all this other stuff to come after this. Just be okay.
It's my understanding.
Be okay. It's your understanding. So, what was the conversations without spoiling, your anonymity or burning your source? What was kind of the vibe? What was kind of the what did you ask? First of all,
nothing that I'm comfortable saying specifically. I do not want to be Jeff Grubb, and
why not? You're so good at it.
And the person and people that I know, I value the fact that they trust me.
So I'll read between the lines. So and you can confirm or deny. So did you basically say, hey, cool update, will there be more after this?
No, I did not ask.
So you didn't ask specifically, how if there would be updates after this. You just asked about the update when it's coming out.
Yeah, I just generally asked about it.
What to expect? What to expect? When is it drop? When is it drop? How big?
Yeah, I just was curious about what was up with it because it came out of
and they say, "Oh yeah, it's coming out tomorrow. It's a second heroic assault, and we'll never do this again." Or did they, or did they just did they just tell you what the update was and like that?
Yeah, kind of that.
So
I mean, it's really was like, it's, I mean, because there's not a lot there, it's kind of some new
like
skins.
Sounds kind of like you're pulling this last update thing out of your ass.
No, I'm not. I was directly told it was. I'm hedging because I don't want to be. I don't want to be, according to Jay Shockblast.
Well, if you were directly, if you were directly told, you were directly told. Now, if you were directly told by Jeff Grubb, whatever. But if you're directly told by someone at the studio, this is the last update, then it's the last fucking update. It's just no other way to interpret that.
I thought when I mentioned it in passing, I thought that would be something that would be communicated. So that's why I'm hesitating. Hedging.
Yeah.
Great word, hedging.
Yes.
Because I don't know. From what I understand, it sounds like
my source told me.
Okay, I'm basically Tom Holland right now, as it is basically saying. Yeah. But I don't know. I really enjoyed I did the first boss battle against Mr. Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it. It was really well done. It was hard.
That was the most frustrating one because my team was struggling, so I had to basically solo the whole thing. But the hilarious thing was that when for some reason they didn't think of this. There's no contingency for this. If you go down, because for that Mr. Freeze mech fight, everyone has to grapple to the perch when he does that big AoE thing, because there's no jump button in this superhero action game. So if you happen to go down while you're up there, it doesn't spawn you back on the ground. You're just stuck there. So all three of my teammates at some point got stuck up there. So all of the perches but one were occupied. There was no way to revive them, no way to get them down. There's no join in progress specifically. There's join in progress everywhere except in those specific boss fights.
Oh, jeez.
Which, let me tell you how annoyed I was when I saw that, because the last floor of the Star Row, every join in progress everywhere in the game. It's cool. If you're struggling soloing the Star Row thing, someone at some point, or you just like some company at some point, someone could just pop in, and I've done it a bunch of times. I'm just running in there solo. I'll leave my my privacy on public. Some couple people hop on. We finish it together. It's a good time. But for some reason, with the new one, they restricted join in progress only for those boss fights. So people can join you before you activate that floor. But as soon as you activate it, get in that elevator and spawn in on that level, that's it. So if someone disconnects, they're gone. It's basically Marvel's Avengers. So I was in there. All my teammates were occupying the perch. So I could only find one when I need to do that part. and there was no way to revive them. And if they disconnected to try to join back in, they wouldn't be allowed to join back in. And there's no reload checkpoint. So I'm just sitting there getting Marvel's Avengers PTSD, thinking, why the hell did they change that? It's their probably it's their obvious best feature. So I had to solo that whole thing with Red Hood. And it took a long time.
I was basically soloing it too, and we did it with 3 people. So like the other 2 kept going down, and I would have to. Fortunately, not on the perch. I would revive them, but like they couldn't figure out that like, hey, he's gonna like do this AOE attack on the whole floor, get up on a perch. They couldn't seem to figure that out. So I don't know. But
I didn't mind. Like I eventually switched to, when I realized I had to carry, I basically switched to Nightwing, and it was pretty much smooth sailing from there because Nightwing is a god in this game. It's just the truth.
But I really thought that the design of the heroic assault was really cool. And you know, it's just a shame because like it was very well positioned for DLC. But I have said before that when I was at Montreal at the studio, I asked them about like, hey, you know, I noticed it doesn't say anything about a season pass, nothing about DLC, and they're like, you know, so it's
weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, stuff like that you have to start well in advance. So I kind of had a feeling back then, you know, that's it. You know, and it's weird because like that seems to be what people want. Hey, I paid $70 for my game. I should have everything that comes with it. You know, ever in perpetuity or whatever.
Perpetuity.
And, yeah, and so there you go. You got it.
But we want more. But we want now, and the thing is, people would gladly pay if they came out tomorrow and announced a new DLC. Well, obviously, if they announced some kind of Batman DLC, that would sell out immediately. But if they did a Catwoman DLC, that would sell out. That would also sell out immediately, and people would gladly pay. People would gladly pay for it. If they just straight up announced a season pass and said, "Hey, buy the season where we want to continue with Gotham Knights. Here's a season pass, and you can buy it, and we'll be putting cosmetics on there. We'll be putting new characters on there, and we'll be releasing new content." People would buy it because that season pass is then now a commitment. But if they're not committed, then they're not gonna understand. But they're committed to some degree because I just knew when they did that first DLC, well, they're definitely going to do another one. Like when people immediately were like, oh well, dead game, that's it. I was like, well, it's literally been 4 months, and they've updated the game every month, pretty much since it came out. So you're just being weird. It's not a live service game. It's like,
exactly,
come on,
you know,
like have some patience.
Everybody has like these insane and unreasonable expectations. The internet just exasperates it, you know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I'm just glad I could say once again for the millionth time I was right. It's
a weird situation because you're dancing around saying you're right. Lejeune's out here saying no, it's not really DLC. So I mean, you're right.
I'm 100% right. It's indisputably a fact. I had a couple.
Understand. This is not what you meant by DLC, and you know that, but you'll take it.
You don't know what I meant.
I know exactly what you meant. You meant a character. You meant a new boss. You didn't mean another heroic assault.
I wanted those things. I didn't say that's specifically what we were getting. I said I wanted what I did say specifically. I said I wanted more villain content. I said I wanted more gear because I wanted to have. I didn't like the farming. I didn't like the loop that they did with the first heroic assault. I wanted more. I wanted more gear. I wanted more ways to farm so I can put together some OP builds, and that's exactly what we got. Now we didn't get brand new villains, but we got a new endgame farm. We got new gear accompanied with new resources, with new perks, and the new and those mythics. You can get some absolutely god tier rolls. Love them. My Nightwing has never been better. I was working on
really
it.
sucks about this though is like those comic books, they put them out with like gear pieces, like level 40 one mod slot gear pieces.
Holy,
Absolutely worthless now.
completely.
But the skins for collecting them all are amazing. So
Yeah, I think which is for the best. For the best because you don't like pay to win stuff, you know.
highly disappointed. I mean, granted, like, look, they're just throwing us free stuff, but it was just basically a reskinned. What's the name? It was basically just a reskin of one of the other transmogs we already had. You know,
The Raider. You mean the Raider set?
yeah.
Not kind of looks like I don't know. For some, it kind of reminded me of it was like borrowed from a couple of different ones. Like Nightwing's Raider transmog looks like his Knighthood one, and
It was really Eternals.
yeah, Eternals. Personally,
The Red Hood really Eternal.
yeah, I thought all of them were pretty ugly except Nightwing's. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Red Hood's was okay.
I've only seen two of the. I think there were 4 bike skins. I only saw the Mr. Freeze one, and that one's pretty sharp.
I haven't honestly. I have so many bike skins. I have not once transmogged my bike. not a one. I have not looked at any of them.
Funny.
not at any point. I gotta get into that eventually because might as well. But yeah, the new transmog I wasn't a fan of except for Nightwings, but I was mainly there for the gear and they satisfied me on that end. I hope they do more. It'd be weird if they just would stop here but not announce it. Like that's why I kind of feel like that's why I do understand why you're kind of hedging because if they're leaving the door open, they tell you one thing privately, but then they kind of leave the door open publicly. That tells me that they're probably not done.
I think they're done. Based on,
I mean, you also thought they weren't going to have another DLC, so there you go.
Yeah, because I thought they were legit done,
and then they weren't. So I say when it comes to this, just trust it out the gamer. Whatever he comes up with is probably what's going to happen. But it was kind of it was kind of weird though with how people were trying to literally say this wasn't a DLC when it is by every stretch of the imagination and the literal definition.
You got 10 hours of gameplay out of it, you know?
Like I understand why Lejeune was trying to be wishy-washy because he doesn't want to eat that lemon. But I had a couple people come in the chat during the stream and was like, it's not a DLC. I'm like, my man, my brother in Odom, what do you think a DLC is? And I'll tell you why you need to fucking Google things instead of trying to argue with me on stream. It literally stands for downloadable content. And I downloaded a 15th floor raid with new gear, new resources, new enemy types, new boss encounters, and a raised level cap. That there is no way to weasel around that. That's a DLC. Whether you like it or not is completely irrelevant to the definition and the reality. I don't care. I don't care if you wanted Batman. I don't care if you wanted Poison Ivy or Catwoman. It's a DLC.
Yeah.
So Lejeune,
anyway,
going to eat that lemon.
And we're all going to be there for it. But yeah, I mean, that's honestly more than I thought we would even need to talk about Gotham Knights, and there's so much to go. So what do we got next?
We could, well, no spoilers, but I did want to touch on the Jedi Survivor kerfuffle because honestly, I just love pointing out when I'm right, and once again, I was right. Holy, was I right?
What were you right about?
So, and we'll pull this up. So a couple weeks ago, Mr. Shockblast, I made a video on my main channel, and you know what I said, Mr. Shockblast?
What did you say?
I said, I think it's kind of a red flag that we're only a few weeks away from Jedi Survivor, and we just had a hands-on preview event with their content creators, but the content creators weren't allowed to capture any of their own gameplay. They were all given pre-cut together footage.
I remember this conversation now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said that's what we did at Redfall too.
Mm-hmm. And I said the problem with that is the lack transparency is usually better, especially in this day of gaming where people are justifiably nervous about the whole release now, patch later initiative that some studios are still implement even after the Cyberpunk fiasco. You know, we're seeing less of it, but it still happens, and EA has been known as one of the culprits of sometimes doing this, specifically Respawn, because as I told people in my video, we had this problem with Jedi Fallen Order releasing unoptimized with performance issues and bugs, and they already had to delay Jedi Survivor once because of performance issues and bugs. So they say, you know what, we gotta delay it so we can get it right. And then I'm like, okay, great, I have no problem with that. Cool. Obviously, it's not a good sign when you have to delay a game because so close because of that, but you'd rather they do that. And I was like, I'm fine with that as long as it's fixed. But then we're in the final stretch. We're literally a few weeks away, and we hear about this hands-on preview, and no footage is allowed to be captured. And so at that point, we've seen no unedited footage whatsoever of this game. The longest we've gotten was that IGN preview, and that wasn't. And even though it was a 8-minute video of gameplay, it wasn't uncut. And I noticed it also wasn't on Coruscant, which is apparently a really big problem for that game when it comes to performance. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. And I compared it to like Hogwarts Legacy, which was like, hey, here's a hands-on preview. You can capture your footage. So, and I'm like, so we know it can be done. So not doing it is a very clear choice. And I said that it sends the message that you're not confident necessarily in your product enough to let people see it and raw, or you have something to hide. And I'm like, even if everything was on the up and up, it looks shady. And you know what they told me? You're a hater. That's not true. They would never. It's Respawn. Respawn don't miss. They wouldn't do that. They delayed it already so that they can fix it, so everything's fine. The only reason they didn't show the gameplay is because they didn't want to spoil the story.
So here's what I'll say, okay? And I have no connections whatsoever to EA. I bought this game myself, like every other pleb, okay? I'm like probably a good 7 or 8 hours in, and I don't know what the gameplay event was, but I can understand why they would just let people play and not record, because I've done Coruscant, and I don't even remember what the name of the second planet is, but Coruscant took me like 2 hours, okay? And I didn't like do any extra exploring. I just basically did the story, and it's like all story. Like you're literally all story in that like 2 hours, okay? So I can understand why they don't want people taking that home, because you're basically trusting people with all this footage and hoping they only use what you want them to, you know? And if that's what they gave them, which would make sense because there are tutorial aspects of it and it's such a long slice of content, then yeah, if they threw them on the next planet and said, all right, we're going to put you a little bit into the game, dude, this planet that's so big. Like I just did one part of the story and it took me almost 2 hours to get through. And like just like I'm glad I didn't follow any of this. So like I'm glad I'm seeing all this very fresh, no spoilers, nothing.
Yeah.
And on Xbox, absolutely glorious. I know Eastwood's in chat saying he's playing on PlayStation and it's glorious. I do understand what you're saying, and I there's some validity to it. With this game, I don't know again what their preview event was. So
it was. I'll tell you exactly what it was. They set it up specifically later in the game. It looked like the same planet they did for the IGN preview, and they set it up. They said, "Here's where you can go. Here's what you can do. Stay on this," and they let them do their thing for about 4 hours. So the fact that there were no major spoilers they had to worry about. They just they controlled the entire thing. We know it can be done. It has been done. They just decided, yeah, we're just going to cut up everything and give you all the same footage and not give anything away. And I'm like, with your track record, it's not a good look. And lo and behold, I was right. I said this is probably going to be a game that needs a major day one patch, because it's probably going to have some issues on consoles, and it's probably going to have a terrible PC port. But as usual, the shills were like, "Oh, Sadat, you hater, you N-word, you don't know what you're talking about." And
that really happened, because not that I don't just not believe you, but like, do people really do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got a racial slur today.
I don't get it. I really don't. All right, I mean, a lot of games seem to be having PC port issues lately. You know, like
The Last of Us.
Supposed to be PC Master Race, I thought.
Yeah,
but like it's more like PC Afterthought.
It does seem that way. It's like, oh, we want that PC audience, we want their dollars, but it's a lot of work, and who really cares about PC players? That's kind of what it feels like.
I also want to say, at one point, I switch the game to performance mode, which apparently is like the be all end all for most people, it looked substantially worse.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why people play that way. Like I never use performance mode.
I always use it by default, because see, the thing is, I usually play games where it's properly optimized so that there's not a big drop in graphic quality between performance and fidelity mode. In fact, Ratchet and Clank, once again showing why Insomniac is the GOAT, they had kind of a hybrid between the two. So you had the benefits of that high performance, but you didn't really lose anything on the fidelity side. And holy, that game is gorgeous. And
yeah,
we had no issues.
Yeah, I think we all kind of know that when the game is exclusive to a specific console, they usually have benefits.
Yeah,
that. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, when it comes to multiplayer stuff,
it's really bad. I turned it right off. Like,
yeah,
that's
the problem, and that's the issue. Like usually people will do performance mode because it's like a multiplayer, and they want to have that best, or it's a fighting game that maybe requires a lot of concentration. They want to have just that best optimized performance when they're doing it. But I also do it because I don't trust a lot of games, and I'm like, well, I don't want to switch to fidelity and have to just end up switching back anyway because the frame drops get bad or anything like that. So I usually just default to performance because usually there's no graphic drop off. But in the case of Jedi Survivor, I did notice that was a complaint as well. The graphics, it can be beautiful, particularly in fidelity, but upon closer inspection, it is kind of dog water.
I'm gonna tell you this, man. Like, maybe it's just because I'm a Star Wars dork. I'm head over heels in love with this game. Like, it is in every possible way better than the first one, which I adored. And I like my challenge right now is from a content creator's perspective. It's an open world game, basically, when you get into these levels. So, like, I'm the type of person, I mentally cannot function in a video game like that if I'm not looking in every last corner. You know what I mean? So, like, that is making my videos longer, and it's a matter of figuring out how to streamline it and stuff like that. I don't want to stream it. I want to just play it and record it. And once I'm done with all that, then maybe I'll get it on PlayStation and stream it. But I am just about to go to my third planet, Jeddah, and I love everything about it. Like, it's got a lot of heart. I was very surprised at something that's incorporated into the story. I don't really want to say anything for spoiler purposes. For sure. It was actually jaw-dropping, and it makes me regret not following that storyline a little bit more in Star Wars. It's probably the only storyline I don't really know a lot about. It's something new that they started like within the last 2-3 years, and apparently it, for a reason, it's tied in here. So it's very interesting, and I wish I knew who some of these characters were because I've definitely seen them before. Just everything about it is so good.
I was thinking of streaming it in like maybe 2 weeks or so because I really do want to play it, but I've heard a few horror stories on PS5, and knowing my luck, I'm gonna have another Dying Light 2 situation on my hands where I
don't think so.
Where I paid full price and I can't shoot it.
I will tell you on Bros that, like, again, I spent the $80-$90, whatever it was, for the deluxe edition digital. I regret it because I wish I just got I just wish I went to GameStop at midnight or whenever they did the midnight opening, because I did it digital this time, hoping to try to do my New Zealand trick on Xbox. And I'm mad because they're doing these global releases now. Redfall's doing the same thing, and it basically releases at the same time for everybody. So I kind of wish because you see behind me, I'm a physical guy, so I kind of wish I just got the physical edition. But in any event,
did they actually release the patch yet?
There was a patch, yes. I don't know if it was that patch. I know the website that I've been kind of dabbling with, mpfirst.com, they put out an article that had some settings you could change that make things better on Xbox and PlayStation, and it seems like that is working really well. So I guess there is something you can do to improve the performance. I can probably find the article
because there's really no I do still intend on streaming it, but there's but if you're not as a content creator, there's kind of no point in doing it unless you're getting it early. Otherwise, you might as well just wait a couple weeks for people to have already played it a little bit and get to the point where it's like, okay, well, we can just watch. We'll mind you watching. We'll mind watching you or whatever. So yeah, currently I have 92 gigs of free space on my P5. So, but fortunately, I can easily clear 100 right now by removing 2K22. So that won't be a problem. I can definitely safely grab Jedi Survivor. It's just I was really kind of waiting on the day one patch just to be sure, because once I realized I wasn't getting the code for it, I was like, well, there's really no priority here. You know, I'm primarily a superhero gaming channel. Even though I got some good numbers on my Star Wars videos, I wasn't super confident with how well it would be. I would do in terms of numbers on a non-superhero game. So I was just like, who cares? If I have to pay for it, I'll just wait a little bit, because what I don't want to do is fire up a stream, try to play it, and I'm crashing or can't progress through the story like I was dealing with Dying Light 2. Both issues that I heard people complain about for Jedi Survivor specifically. So that's why I was like, well, let me see what the patch does. Let me see how that looks.
I wish. I don't know.
Jay waving his hands like a madman.
I was just some Jedi mind tricking on my webcam. I'm thrilled to get back. I want to just get back and keep playing. You know.
I've been there.
It's 150 gigs though. So.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You have SSD in your PS5?
I do not.
Yeah.
I basically download games, have a set amount on there, and then as I'm playing them, I'll delete if I know I'm not playing something, I'll just delete it if I need space. But otherwise, I'll just leave stuff on there. Jedi Survivor is the first one where I'm just like, I definitely got to clear some space here.
Yeah, I had to delete a few games. I moved them. I have like a 5 terabyte external hard drive that I got when the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 came out, and I ended up I can't believe it. I got it in 2014, and I'm still using it. It's still running strong. Like, it's literally been plugged in and attached to my Xboxes ever since. You know, it's a Seagate drive. It thing's a freaking beast. But I end up moving a few games over to there because I just I moved Marvel's Avengers on Xbox over.
Right.
Because I couldn't bring myself to delete it, but it takes up as much space as Jedi Survivor. So it's like I'm not playing it on Xbox again. So I just have to. Yeah.
Exactly. I'll be playing Avengers on PlayStation in September. So I just kind of leave it on there. There's still stuff I can do, but I'm not. I can I have no problem just deleting 2K22. That's perfectly fine. I just play that casually, just to pass the time. But I can definitely make the room. And when I do delete a game, I just download them again from the library. So I don't consider it a big deal. But sometimes I do wish I had that additional space. But I've been making do without it. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, now that if you're not from a content creator's perspective, there's no rush at this point. If you don't get the game early, it doesn't matter. You missed out.
I will say, as far as the
thank you for the raid, Fate Walker. Love you.
Oh, thank you. I will say, as far as SSDs are concerned for the PS5, like, they've never been cheaper. And I hate the way they did it in one way, because I hate having to do surgery on the goddamn console to put it in there. It's a little nerve-wracking, but I also, like, I would love to get a 2 terabyte card for the Xbox Series X, but I am not paying that price. Like, it is. They just finally released a new one. And I think it was WD is doing this one. Seagate had like exclusivity for like 2 years, and it never went down from $400 for 2 terabytes. And you can get like BooTube is saying right now, you can get a 1 terabyte SSD for $50.
That's actually,
and you can probably get a 2 terabyte for like 100, 120. So like the prices have gone way down. I know you just had your plumbing issues, so you're probably not in a rush to spend anything else. But
$800 they got me for.
Yeah, I have no regrets. Okay, about adding that 2 terabyte at a higher price. I think I paid like $160. Like, I got like a really good price when they were more expensive. But like, I never, like, not that I use my PlayStation 5 as much, but like, I never have to delete stuff because I've got an extra 2 terabytes. I only have the 1 terabyte card on Xbox because I got it at launch, and I had like Best Buy had like a 10% off birthday coupon thing, and it's like, all right, perfect, But I'm starting to have to delete stuff, and it's annoying.
Here's the thing, though, Jay. I don't like performing surgery.
I agree. I understand, and if I can do it, I think you can.
Oh, I can. I know I can. It's just I don't want to.
Yeah. I hate. I not only do I hate taking those plates off, because the first time I did it, I scratched the inside because like it's weird. It's just a weird way to do it. But then I don't remember who it was, but somebody watched my video of me like doing it, and like, dude, you didn't put one of the screws back in. That's what the rattling is you keep hearing. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now I got to do it again. But ever since then,
I'm not doing any of that. I have the cloud. I'll just re-download games that I deleted. I'm not doing that shit.
I mean, I have the red PlayStation plates, and I got like, that's another conversation I want to have at some point. But I got I think it was D brand, which BooTube is saying. The original ones that were out, I ordered them, and then they like PlayStation like sued them or something, and they only honored the orders that were already there. So I have plates. I'm not really necessarily worried about scratching them, but like, I don't know if I'm kind of going this direction because we're here. I don't know if you saw that Final Fantasy 16 PlayStation they're releasing in Japan. It's like all black, and it's got like a cool little design on the side. I cannot for the life of me understand, especially PlayStation. Like, they designed the thing to have these side plates, okay? How are there not more game related side plates? Like, if they put them out for God of War, people would have bought them in droves, right? And if yeah, I'm kind of like, watch what you're doing. The controller looks really nice too. But Yeah, that like, how are they not putting out more like plates like that? You know what I mean?
Kind
Like
of.
you're telling me people wouldn't buy those? Like I've literally bought brand new when Star Wars Battlefront came out, I got that PS4 Pro, and then the Spider-Man PS4 Pro gets announced, and I literally traded that in. So I think that's exclusive to Japan though.
Yeah, 7,000.
Controllers not, but the plates are, I think.
Only 7,980 yen.
But I just don't understand why, especially with PlayStation, like they've done colors and everything, but like I feel like on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, there are all sorts of like game specific consoles. Like I had the Batman PS4, I had the Star Wars Battlefront PS4 Pro, and then I still have the Spider-Man PS4 Pro because I just can't get rid of it. But like I just don't understand why they're not doing that, you know what I mean? Like it's
Good
crazy because
good question. Speaking of Battlefront, did you did you hear that Battlefront 3 was almost a thing?
yeah.
Apparently they were working on it, and my understanding is they were very close on it, and and then they just was like, nah, we're not doing it. Developer was just recently able to was legally allowed to speak on it recently.
Yeah.
And he was expressing how frustrated he was that they almost had Battlefront 3 out and it did not happen. I guess EA just does not want y'all to have that game.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the head of Respawn is already talking today about another Star Wars game they're working on. So
there's a couple. So we got the Ubisoft open world one from Massive, and then we have the Respawn one, which is supposed to be an FPS single player.
Hence.
So I'm more excited about the obviously people have their issues with Ubisoft, but the Massive open world one sounds more interesting to me than they both sound cool, but I'm definitely intrigued by the open world one. You know me, sucker for open world games.
Yeah. I love open world games too. Yeah. So, oh man, I'm so booked, man. Like this is gonna be a crazy. May is gonna fly by.
I hope.
uh,
Well, if the PlayStation Showcase happens, like Jeff Grubb said, then it's going to be interesting for sure. Because I need something to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna be away next week for like 4 days. So we've got that. Mortal Kombat is I feel like inevitably being announced soon. So who knows? Fingers crossed on that. I am going to Summer Games Fest. I somehow got invited to that. I mean, I have to pay my way, but it's a no-brainer that I have to go.
Of course.
Like,
wave to us from the audience.
yeah.
Why is Fate Walker trying to convert me to Genshin Impact as if I already have? I guess Fate Walker doesn't realize I already played Genshin and stopped playing once I hit, I think, Venture rank 15, because I was like, this time getting bullshit is not for me. I'm about to move on to go Tsushima. but it was a nice game, but yeah. Unfortunately, I ended up also playing instead of streaming it, I ended up making my first YouTube content on this little indie game called Marvel's Avengers, and and unfortunately, people liked it enough to get me the YouTube partner within my first month. So I was stuck with it. No more Genshin, but maybe in another life.
Like I think I played it for like 5 minutes and then I deleted it.
Totally understandable. I tried to re-download it probably like at some point, maybe like last year or something, and because they had a new update, I was like, oh, I think it was around the Aloy update, and I was like, oh, let me drop back in and see what they're talking about with this Genshin, and I ran around.
Exactly why I wanted to try it.
Yeah, I ran around for like 10 minutes, had no idea what to do, and just deleted it. I was just like, I looked at everything, I was like, yeah, I'm just leaving. I do want to get back into No Man's Sky though. That I need to give that game a chance. I know I was super looking forward to it when it was first revealed because I love space games, and of course, unfortunately, it had its all those issues. I didn't ever get it. Then I ended up getting it later after it made the comeback, and I remember I got to the one planet when I was doing a story track, and then I got to one planet and they were trying to make me like do some Fortnite build shit, and I kept running out of low on oxygen and resources, and I'm like, I'm trying to explore alien planets. I'm not trying to manage my oxygen levels and all this other bullshit, man. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I've got the super edition like right there where my finger is. I can see the nice teal box, and I played it a little bit when it first came out, and then just like a lot of people was like, man, this is not what I was hoping, because I thought that was gonna be great. I was very excited.
It looks amazing. That's why I keep trying to get back into it, because I see the new updates, I see gameplay. I'm like, I see like they're flying through different planets and having space battles and all this other crazy stuff. I'm like, man, No Man's Sky looks amazing right now. Why am I not playing it? And then I think about the last time I tried to play it. I was like, it's so many. I gotta look at some tutorial for 2023 on how to get into No Man's Sky, because I will play that and stream it if need be. But we're talking about the month of May and J Shock Blast's busy schedule and the potential of the showcase. So we of course got to talk about Marvel Spider-Man 2, the game everyone is waiting for and can't stop claiming to have leaks for. So I covered this on the channel, and shout out to everybody who's been going crazy. Somehow I've surpassed Evan as the number one Spider-Man source on YouTube, which is hilarious. But it's been crazy. People are starved for news. They want some updates on Spider-Man 2. And since the Insomniac is being close to the vest, people have taken it upon themselves to give leaks about what's going on and plot details. There have been a bunch of them, and it was actually hilarious. There was that point where every day someone posted a new one. Like last week, it was like consecutive days. Someone on 4chan came out with a new one, and it got to a point, Jay, where one of the apparently an older leaker, someone who said they were an older leaker, came out and attacked the other leakers for piggybacking off of his totally real leak and posting their fake nonsense like the multiverse. So I was like, this is they're at a point where these fake leakers are having civil wars with each other. So I was like, we gotta cover this on the podcast because it's quite frankly hilarious. I did a video on it, but it's pretty funny. Now, some of the leaks, at the very least, they made good fan theories, but some of the stuff I can see happening. So I just wanted to, I don't know how tuned in you are to the goings on, but I wanted to see what some of your favorite ones or what some of your fan theories are, because some of them are okay. I have my own fan theory. I have my own theories that I propose on how I think the game will play out, but some of the stuff they brought up was interesting. I'd say my least favorite, even though I wouldn't mind it playing it out, according to one of the newer leaks, the game ends in a post-credit scene where a portal appears and Spider-Gwen steps out of it. And the whole multiverse, the whole, like, a Spider-Verse game by Insomniac would probably be awesome. It just would feel weird of if it being Spider-Man 2. Based on how they, I feel like I feel like I'd rather they bring in Gwen in like a natural Insomniac way rather than just trying to connect the multiverse and do all this other stuff. I'm sure I wouldn't, be one of these man babies and cry about it.
Yeah.
If the say hip hop gamers intel about the whole kind of Ratchet and Clank Rift thing was used in conjunction with some kind of multiverse stuff, because Ratchet and Clank was amazing, and Rift moving through dimensions and Spider-Man with Insomniac would be awesome. But it feels kind of like too big a leap from Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales to that, especially with everything they've been building up. The whole multiverse angle, probably the least interesting thing to me about what they presented, is something I wouldn't necessarily be into. The one thing I do like, one of the things I did like was the this was another leak, the continuation of Yuri Watanabe's descent into villainy as Wraith. We saw in the DLC, she kind of abandoned the police force angle and decided to become a vigilante. And naturally, it put her up against Spider-Man because she has very brutal methods of handling criminals. And according to the leak, they're investigating some the consistent thread of these leaks is that the game starts with Miles and Peter investigating a serial killer. The first leaker suggested it was Sin Eater, which would be a throwback to the comics, because in that Venom run, Sin Eater was a serial killer and ended up interviewing Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock covering him ended up leading to Eddie's downfall and eventually becoming Venom. But according to one leaker, the killer is actually Yuri, who's now gone full Wraith and is just straight up offing criminals. And the first boss battle of the game puts you up against Yuri, and you're fighting her, and I believe in their leak they say also by that point you actually have the suit. They say you get it fairly early. In their version of the leak story, Harry isn't Venom, and he just has the symbiote on him, and it somehow comes and transfers over to Peter when he comes back from Europe. That part I don't necessarily buy, but because Harry was in pretty bad shape the last time we saw him. So I don't think that's part true, but I think it would be interesting to bring in Yuri as Wraith and have her kind of be an antagonist figure. What do you think of some of these leaks and theories, Mr. J?
I'm fine with whatever they do because I trust them. I think they're going to make a great story. I don't want multiverse stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the animated movies and everything. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, but like, I don't want to be dipping into that. I am not a big multiverse person in general. I hate that. But I mean, in a perfect world, I would just like a really good story that focuses on some of the more classic characters. I don't like Harry as Venom. I like Eddie Brock should be Venom.
Bigot.
I mean, they're two white people.
Bigot.
Like, sure.
All white people aren't the same, Jay.
You know what? You got me. I just I don't know. I have been doing. I don't read websites anymore. Like I don't like. I kind of stay out of it. You know. I like. I'm at a point where I just want to know as little as possible and just experience it myself. And I feel like I'm so disenfranchised by the whole community in general. Um, excuse me. The whole Spidey squad, if you will, they're just so annoying to me.
Shade.
Like they've like maybe not the actual Spidey squad people, but like
They are though.
like yeah, I don't know who's who, okay, but like that whole crowd is like annoying, you know, and I just like I just don't get it, and I love the game. I like still have my Spider-Man PS4. You know, I'm not gonna get rid of that thing. I love it. It's great. Like it's literally a paperweight right now, sitting in my living room. It's like the backup, if like the apps on the TV don't work. You know, like it's like, oh, let's fire up the PS4 instead. But even that we don't have to do anymore. So it's just sitting there. Um, so like I don't know, man. I just want, but you know, we've talked about this before. To me, like Spider-Man is Peter Parker. I want, I, and it has nothing to like. Honestly, it has nothing to do with any of them. I feel like they've cheapened who's Spider-Man. Like all the characters. Like they're even doing this. There's like 50,000 Captain Americas now. You know.
Yeah.
Like
Everyone's got the mantle.
it's lazy. I'm fine with like I was tolerant of Miguel and Miles, and then you've got Ben.
Tolerant. That sounded charged.
All right, Ben Riley. All right, like like it's.
There are
I feel like
there are a lot of spider people.
it's like it's way too much. All right, and I'm fine though, like having my Peter working together on this, and if they wanted to incorporate Gwen, that's fine too. But like at a certain point, it feels less special when we're like dealing with every freaking version of what should be a singular character. And I want like a classic. And granted, there's been lots of Spider-Man games, so I know we've had a lot of these stories before, but give me my classic Spider-Man villains, like, I think we're gonna have Kraven in this one, right?
Yeah, we well, not officially, but
right,
it's probably.
Well, like start getting into like Kraven, and we already had like this like a lot of Sinister Six last time, but like start getting into those characters, and I don't care about Wraith. I mean, like if I'm being real, you know what I mean? Like I understand it makes sense in the course of the story they've been setting up, but like I don't care about Screwball,
Funny enough, there was one of the leaks included a villain list, and according to that one, quite some interesting lineups. So we have they had the Venom version they had the Eddie Brock version of Venom. They had both the Harry and Norman version of Green Goblin. They also had Wraith, Sandman, Mysterio, Shocker, Big Will, and Trapster.
Was Stiltman not available?
Apparently not. So I was looking at that list. I was like, okay, Mysterio, yeah, mm-hmm. Sandman, mm-hmm. Big Will, Pete, Big Will, Pete, Big Will and Pete. Hold on. Yeah, so I call Cap on that one, but Sandman would be awesome. I would love to fight Sandman. That would be an amazing set piece for Insomniac to pull off. I even did some concept art for it and came out pretty sick. That would just be such a cool fight. I've wanted to fight Sandman for a while, and I don't know if they're going to go that route, but I think that'd be cool because they one of the things these games are known for that like they're cool set piece boss fights, and for the love of God, I'm tired of fighting Rhino.
Yeah, I feel that.
So having Sandman take on that Rhino role would be much more preferable.
Yeah. I mean, Sandman's such a hard character to do, though. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to like translate his powers into a game that big, but I know that they can do it. I mean, it's just, you know,
It'd be huge, but yeah, they could do it. Mysterio would be great as well, and since Yuri and Wraith, that would make sense to bring in Mysterio as well. That would be a really cool fight. You know,
love Mysterio.
dealing with the illusions and everything like that. I'm fine with that. Shocker, I'm cool with not seeing him pop up again.
Yeah.
I've had my fill of Shocker. Big Will is just a meme. Just no, thank you. I do think a lot of people are saying they want Goblin for the third game, but I think it would make sense to bring in Green Goblin for this one, depending on how they do the story. Because my prediction was Harry becomes Harry's Venom, but Harry dies in the process. He gets the symbiote initially because he's extremely sick, and Norman's trying to find a way to cure him, and he used the symbiote to kind of stabilize him. I think the symbiote consumes him. He becomes Venom. They fight. They beat him. Miles and Peter beat him. He gets the symbiote. They get the symbiote off of him, but in the process, Harry dies. Norman's furious. Blames Spider-Man, wants revenge, and that drives him to be Green Goblin. Now, my prediction was that MJ gets killed by Green Goblin, and Spider-Man gets consumed by the symbiote and starts, going over the line, and finally confronts Green Goblin with the symbiote suit and tries to end him. And Miles ends up being the one to fight Peter in the end to try to bring him back and get the suit off of him. And my prediction was that Miles would find a way using what he knows about the symbiote as well as his bioelectric powers, and end up stopping symbiote Peter and putting him back, to where he was. And I got a random comment from someone saying that the only reason I thought of that is because I'm black. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's a bit out there for me, but whatever.
I mean, it makes perfect sense with the clues they've laid out, because if they follow them, because we know this game is going to be Miles and Peter. We know the basic outline of the Venom storyline. We know it leads to Peter getting the symbiote suit and going dark. So to me, it would make sense for at least for it to end to at some point have Peter and Miles fight, because somebody's got to get Peter talk Peter off the edge, and Miles is in the game. That to me, that just made sense.
Yeah, I mean, see, but to me, I want this to be a Peter mostly game.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I don't see that happening.
It's gonna be even.
I think honestly, I think this game, and I could be wrong. I'm often not. I think the game is going to be a heavy Peter and Miles game. I think they're gonna give you a lot of freedom in terms of like exploring and free roam and everything like that. I think they're going to set it up so that when you're just exploring, you can go back and forth between Peter and Miles. I think they're also going to have specific missions where you're going to be only Peter, only Miles, and then they're going to have missions where both of you can tackle them, optional and main story, side stuff and main story stuff, and you can switch in between them, and they'll have an AI controlling the other. And I think it's going to be more like The Last of Us 2. It kind of in that way, in that regard, where Miles is going to very much have his own plot line, his own arc, his own villain, and Peter's going to have his thing, and they're obviously going to intersect. But I think this is going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of Miles Morales in this game. I
See, yeah, I think the split should be like 80-20 Peter.
Yeah,
but
I think it's going to be probably 60-40.
So here's the thing, though. Like, are you gonna have 2 skill trees? Like, how's that gonna work?
Yeah.
Like, if you, all right, like, say you level up, do both of them get a point?
It would be interesting if they do that. I could see them doing that. Yeah, I think that would make the most sense. But I do think there will be dual skill trees. I think they're all going to, because it's the second game for technically both of them. You're going to have a lot more skills to choose from starting out, and you're going to be able to unlock more as you go along. And I think the way they're going to do it is they're going to have sliding progression so that you're going to get points as you progress. They could do it at where it's only for one character, but considering the dual nature, I'm predicting. I think they're just going to straight up be like, "Yep, you get a skill point, you get a skill points, and you're going to get them to spend on both characters as you progress."
Yeah, I think your idea about like just regular free roam, kind of being able to pick whoever you want, makes sense. And I think that would be the only thing that would be complex is how the powers work, if you will. Because while they are both Spider-Man, they are different,
Quite, yeah, of course, yeah. As we saw with the Miles Morales game, where Peter had his base spider powers and he had gadgets, whereas Miles, he had the Venom, all the Venom stuff, and the camouflage on top of that, which made his combat pretty insane. So they'll do play pretty different. And I don't think Peter has any Jordans. I know there'll definitely be some people disappointed, and some of them, in fact, and some of them even won't be racist. A lot of them will be, of course, but it just feels like that's kind of what Insomniac has been hitting at. Like they went from Spider-Man to Miles. Even within the first game, we had the introduction of Miles Morales. Then he got his own game right after that one, and now in the only trailer we've gotten so far, it was basically 50-50 Miles and Peter. So I think they're telling us. I think they're very clearly telling us something here. They very much are telling a Spider-Man story where Miles Morales plays a very big role in it as Peter's protege. And I even speculated that eventually I think Insomniac wants to have Peter step away from the role and have Miles take over the franchise. And that normally would be like that's not going to not happen because of how, I mean, we've seen the movies. We saw they had success with the Spider-Verse movie. But I was like, the comics for Miles have always done poorly, but the Miles Morales game made a lot of money. So
yeah, well,
yeah,
I think man on just about any video game and it's gonna sell.
Yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. If that's what they're interested in doing, I can definitely see Insomniac eventually having either maybe not necessarily killing Peter off, but maybe having him, if they don't, kill off MJ, have him retire and from the role and marry MJ and let Miles and Gwen potentially come in and fill the void there left by Peter. I can definitely see Insomniac going in that direction.
We shall see.
A lot of people will be obviously very mad about that, I'm sure.
See, to me though, like, my issue is that, like, Peter Parker Spider-Man is top 3 comic book character of all time.
Correct.
It's Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. Those are unquestionably the 3 largest, hugest characters of all time. So, with that said, obviously there have been lots of Peter Parker Spider-Man games. I do understand that, like, culturally Miles has become such a big deal, and I do understand and appreciate, wanting to give him a little bit more of a spotlight. But, like, I mean, why aren't we advocating for a Miguel O'Hara game? Like, he's not just the 2099 game.
He's not that popular. I mean, they could do it, but
I mean, we'll see what happens after this movie.
We'll see if there's the for it. But I mean, they made Miles Morales. They badly wanted to make it work in the comics. It didn't. Then they tried it. Then they tried to give him a movie, Gangbusters, and now he got his game and is doing well. But yeah, that's just what they wanted. They really wanted a Black Spider-Man to take off, and they were determined to make it happen. And eventually it did. Eventually it got there. Yeah, they just weren't particularly interested in the 2099. So 2099 would be a great game by itself, just futuristic. I've been wanting a Batman Beyond game. That'd be pretty sick to have an Arkham style Batman Beyond game.
Well, it doesn't that, like, make you one of the weirdos now? Like, that you just want a Batman game?
I don't know. I've listed a ton of games I want. In fact, I have a playlist on my channel that's quite popular, where I pitch my own basically concept for a game, and I outline how I would build the story, the characters, the design, everything, and even recommend some potential studios. My first game in that series was for X-Men, and the second is for Superman, and the third that I'm currently working on will be for The Flash. So I have plenty of games that I would love and ideas for any developers who need some ideas for what you could do that doesn't involve Batman.
Let me tell you about my elevator pitch.
We all know about your fucking samurai Batman, ninja Batman. Yeah. but to be fair, it is a cool game concept.
Yeah. Well, I agree.
But I do agree. We've had a lot of Batman. DC definitely needs to. I have so many. There's so many interesting DC games they could do, not Batman related, and it's crazy that they haven't tried it yet. I mean, we all love Batman, but come on, like this is kind of silly. Like, you could have a freaking Constantine game, and it would be better. It would be better than another freaking Batman game. What is that? What was that, Jay? What do you know?
That is it's not a thing.
That your face and you zipping your lips did indicate otherwise, Jay.
Yeah. That is not something we're going to be talking about here. I have regrets.
Well, I think you kind of did. All right. I think you kind of went out the bag, Jay. All you had to do, Jay, was just say, "Oh, a Constantine game. Yeah, that'd be cool." Or
it would be cool.
Yeah, the fact that you just got hella sus all of a sudden it indicates that there may be a Constantine game in development right now. That
I can tell you there is not.
That may or may not be announced at Summer Game Fest.
It will not be.
You heard it here first from Jay. Summer Games Fest Constantine game is going to be revealed. Look out for it in June for that announcement.
Yeah,
I just threw it out there because I thought it would just be a great game, and it would kind of like for the people who are deep throating Batman all the time. It kind of would scratch a little bit of that aesthetic, Constantine, very dark story, but this one would have demons and magic, but it would also still be kind of grounded because, Constantine, is a man with magic, but he's not, like a Superman type of guy. So it would be some more on that level. And I think Constantine game would be fantastic.
I agree, and I feel like a lot of people that were just advocating for Doctor Strange in Marvel's Avengers are just shifting over, so yeah, I mean, would have been cool.
It will be cool. I'm looking forward to that announcement. That reveal. But yeah, there were plenty, but that just goes to show you there's so much DC that you could pull from. Constantine could be a great. I talked about this with someone the other day because they were talking about they were seemingly limited. They were limited in their thinking to what DC had to offer out, and I was like, I mean, a Lobo game where you're kind of exploring the universe, the galaxy as a bounty hunter as Lobo would be incredibly fun. Like that would be an awesome game. It'd be like a Deadpool in space with way more powerful.
It's funny because I can't think of Lobo now without thinking of Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
I haven't watched I've never seen an actual Fast and Furious movie.
Never?
Not a single one of them. All right. Like I've probably seen if you don't count trailers, like just accidentally like passing through it on the channels or something, I probably have seen maybe 15 minutes collectively across all of them. Like legitimately not interested.
Not even a Paul Walker one?
No, none of them never cared. But I just saw the trailer. I guess it was like, what are they? I'm 15 now.
This is 10, Miss Sir.
All right. And I saw like some of the Jason Momoa stuff in that. And like he like it actually has me interested because it's very different from like what I've seen him do, you know what I mean? And it's very Lobo-esque. He's a little like crazy.
Well, he's preparing for that role in the DCU.
Hopefully.
You're definitely missing to it. Okay, so full disclosure, Fast and Furious is definitely not a franchise. It's kind of like a John Wick type of thing where you're not going in it for realism. You're going there because it's just a pure kind of guy movie where it's like, okay, it's going to be kind of silly. It's going to be over the top action. They know exactly what the audience wants, and they are not going to deviate at all from that. They're going to give you exactly what you expect. But they're going to give you so much. They're going to just stuff it down your throat until you pass. Out. Now the first one is the best one, and it's like it's just a really solid movie about family and with some street racing and crime stuff thrown there. It's a really solid movie that you would really like the first one. And it just gets progressively sillier from from there to the point where it kind of just leaning and everything. I would definitely say I wouldn't recommend watching all of them. I would recommend the first two, and I would say the Jason Statham one was pretty good when they introduced Jason Statham in Iraq. The Jason Statham in Iraq spinoff was pretty solid with Idris Elba, but completely over the top. But it is a lot. The last one wasn't great, but it was just pure. What can we do now with cars? Oh, let's throw them into space. It just gets progressively more ridiculous.
Yeah, I always kind of thought of it more as like the Expendables, where you just have like literally throw like everybody that you can into these.
That's how it eventually becomes. Like they have this. They start off with this small core group, and then they like kind of expanded a little bit, and then they just started throwing in these big name cameos. Like it didn't start off like that, but it progressively became kind of like that. Idris Elba could definitely, yeah. Idris Elba was actually really, really good. They basically made him a super soldier. That's how crazy this franchise got. They literally just randomly had a super soldier, a literal super soldier pop up, and Jason Statham and The Rock had to beat him. Who are not super soldiers, but they might as well be, especially The Rock.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know. I'm not a car guy, which is ironic considering. But yeah, I just never was really that interested in them. I drive the most boring vehicle in the world. I have a Ford Explorer.
You don't like watching fast cars go vroom, Jay? What's wrong with you?
No. Literally don't care.
I don't care about the make I don't care about the finer details and the make. I just like cool looking cars. I don't mind that, but I do love a good heist racing type of thing, like the original Fast and Furious movie I thought was great, but I remember the Nicolas Cage movie Gone in 60 Seconds. Love that movie. Because in real life I'm not a car guy at all. Like I still don't own a car. I have no interest. I'm like, Uber exists. Why would I bother? But I do appreciate a good car. Like I can appreciate it. Like, oh yeah, that looks cool. And I like watching, movies where people or things where people are racing against time, and like baby driver, all the stuff. Love a good car chase. I'm all about all of that. Even though typically I'm not a car person. So I think you should at least watch. I feel like you have to watch the first one. I feel like you have to watch the first.
Maybe if I have time. I don't know.
It's weird that you haven't seen it, to be honest. It's kind of weird, and you should be ashamed.
You've never watched a Harry Potter movie all the way through? There's a lot of.
That just means you're not a bigot.
Fair. First time I've ever heard you say that about me, though.
First time you haven't been one.
Oh.
Now is definitely the time where you can like get away with saying, "Oh yeah, Harry Potter movies. Never seen one of them." Like back in the day, there was a time where people would have just looked at you sideways. Some people, but nowadays it's like, good for you. You're an like you're an ally, or whatever. It's kind of quite controversial, but I don't. Honestly, I wouldn't even watch past the first two if you're doing them anyway, because they get progressively worse. Like I thought the first one is the best in my opinion. Second one's pretty good. Third one is dog water. Fourth one is okay. And then the rest are just forgettable. I definitely recommend watching the first one with the wife. Just enjoy. Just a nice family movie.
There we go. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. She you have to understand she watches Hallmark movies. I did just start watching Moon Knight with her though, because we got to a point where we were all caught up on the DVR, and I'm like, I don't know, let's try Moon Knight, and she's into it so far. So,
interesting. You should. I feel like now's the time to slowly push her into anime as well.
No way.
You'd be surprised. Anime. There is an indisputable fact that there is an anime for everybody.
I think I got her to watch one episode of Rick and Morty once, and never again. What was that hot dog movie? Sausage Fest or something like that.
Oof, yeah, that's not
that.
You're not describing anime, Jay. You're describing animated movies.
I understand, but I got that with I bought something and it just came with it, and we watched it because what else we're gonna do, and that movie sucked.
It was a Seth Rogen movie about talking food. Like, what did you?
Right. Yeah, so
I think I should properly educate you on anime, and then you should use that knowledge to indoctrinate your wife into anime. Because I think she would. I firmly believe that everybody can enjoy anime. They just have to find the right one.
Do they have Hallmark anime?
Define Hallmark anime. You mean like a fun, a warm and fuzzy, a predictable romance?
Sure. Preferably in some small quaint New England town with Santa Claus involved, and lots of
to be fair, every Hallmark isn't a Christmas movie, but yeah, I get I agree. they're not. A lot of them take place in the winter, but they're not Christmas movies.
I can tell you that legitimately every Hallmark movie, it takes place during Christmas or Thanksgiving.
or Thanksgiving. I will say and to answer your question, yes, they do have holiday themed anime. They do have when I think of a Hallmark movie, I definitely think of small town girl meets a big city guy, and sparks fly and whatever. No, just a predictable romantic formula of a girl meets boy, blah blah blah. I think if your wife is, that just tells me your wife is into romance and romantic comedies, and there is definitely plenty of that for her to get into in the anime world.
And serial killers, by the way.
Definitely a lot of serial killer stuff. In fact,
if you also watches Lifetime movies.
In fact, if she loves murder, I can recommend an anime right now without any research that you would like as well. It's called. It's actually a classic. It's called Erased. You ever hear of that one?
No.
So Erased is an anime about a serial killer. So there's a serial killer there's a serial killer on the loose. It takes place in a quaint Japanese town. And there's basically some kids years ago, some children disappeared, and people speculate it's the work of a serial killer, and they were never solved. It was never solved, and it took place in this protagonist's town. He lost some classmates, and he grows up, doesn't think too much about it. But our protagonist is special, and not just being the protagonist. He has a special ability. He can travel through time, kind of. Like he'll have moments where something bad happens, and he'll go without being able to control it. He'll go backward in time and be given a chance to correct it. He doesn't know why it happens to him. It just happens to him sometimes.
So wait, like Quantum Leap?
Kind of, yeah. He basically will just be going about his business, and then something will happen, and then he'll go. All of a sudden, things will just rewind, and he'll feel like it's Groundhog Day, but he'll replay that moment backwards, and he'll have a chance to correct it. So his mother is murdered, and he's framed for it. And just when he thinks his life is over, he goes back in time to when he was a kid, and he realizes the time that he was sent back to is the time where the disappearing children happened at his school. So he thinks they might be connected. So he has to solve the mystery from back then as a serial killer who the serial killer was, so that he can hopefully prevent his mom's murder and find out who did it, and prevent his classmates from getting killed. It's a very good story.
I bet.
I think you would both love it.
Well, I have nothing to add to that.
Nothing needs to be said. Just give it a watch. I think you'll both get into it. There's actually a Netflix live action version of it, and it's probably one of the only, in terms of Netflix, definitely the only live action Netflix adaptation that doesn't suck ass. But just in general. And I think it's because it even has a better ending than the anime. And I think it's because usually the difficulty with adapting anime is that studios will try to adapt an action anime. And if you don't have some really talented people and a really good budget, it's not going to, even then, it's going to be hard to translate it to the big screen. Some of the stuff you could do in like all the amazing visuals and stuff you see in the action and like action anime, it's really hard to translate that into live action. But something like that's grounded, like, a story like Erase, where it's not an action, it's not a big, action anime with superpowers and stuff like that. It's just kind of like a straight up murder mystery. That's the sort of stuff that's a lot, I think, would translate a lot better, and I wish more studios would try to adapt, because it was fantastic. And because at first I was like, oh god, another Netflix adaptation, but it was actually really good, and they immediately ruined it when I tried to watch another one of the adaptations of Mob Psycho, which unfortunately ran into the problem. Mob Psycho 100 is an amazing anime, but it's an very much action anime with incredible over-the-top visuals and set pieces and action scenes. And bare minimum, if you wanted to make a proper adaptation of it, you're spending like $100 million, $200 million if you want to do a proper live action. And the Netflix adaptation probably had a budget of $2,000. So needless to say, it didn't translate.
Now here's the real question: have you seen Spaceballs?
I have 40 years ago. Boomer.
Greatest movie of all time.
Greatest movie?
Yes.
I don't know about greatest movie of all time. Great movie. Great. There are a lot of that's a great thing about movies, Shade. It's subjective. You know, I have movies that I love more than anything, and it's hard. It can be hard to pick those, you know, and it's not the same for others. You know, some of my favorite movies of all time, I wouldn't put on a list of best movie of all time because, you know, they're not. There's some movies that are, you know, masterpieces and had a lot of cultural impact, but there are others. They're just some movies that just hit different for some people. So it can be like that. But you know, Spaceballs is you love Spaceballs. That's your thing. I love the Safety Not Guaranteed. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. You ever see that one? Probably never even heard of it.
Nope.
It stars Aubrey Plaza and I think Charlie Day. I think I'm pretty sure he was in it. He's not the other main character, but no, it's not Charlie. It's Aubrey Plaza, Mark Duplass, and Jake Johnson of he was a couple things. I was thinking of New Girl. I immediately always think of him and New Girl, but
me too. I hate that show. My wife. So here's the only reason I hate it is because like she always like has it on. Like we like to have something on when we're sleeping.
Oh yeah.
Like just like in the background noise.
I usually throw on YouTube.
Yeah, well, she likes New Girl. Okay,
that's weird.
And
it's weird when they fall asleep.
They just all yell at each other the whole show. So like I get annoyed because I'm like,
my go to sleep show used to be The Office or Parks and Rec. So yeah.
I like to throw on something that like I don't care. Like I just can mindlessly have it on and tune it out. You know.
But I do love me some Jake Johnson. He's pretty cool. But yeah, it's a silly but really fun indie movie. Got a lot of heart. Also about time travel. It's about Jake Johnson is like this local reporter who's kind of got a big head because he's like a big shot at his paper, but it's like not that big of a paper. but Aubrey Plaza is like the new hire, and she's like working under him, and she has to pitch him a story, and she sees an ad in the local paper about a guy who's looking for an assistant because he's trying to build a time machine and go back to the past. And he says safety not guaranteed. So title of the movie. And so she thinks she convinces him to investigate this guy, and because they think, oh, this will be a good laugh. And when they meet him, he's clearly out of his mind. And it kind of becomes kind of sad. It's like, oh, it becomes like, oh, there's this story of this, sad conspiracy theorist who's convinced he's building a time machine in his backyard, and the government's after him. But he's pretty charming and fun. So she gets more into it. Her boss, Jake Johnson's character, is kind of just making fun of the whole thing. But then she starts suspecting that maybe some of what he's saying might be true, because they start seeing shady people in suits wandering around. It's a really fun and funny movie with a really cool ending, and it just I don't know what it was, but I just loved it. I love everything. I love the music. Love the cast. The story was great, had a great twist ending. I would definitely put that in like my top 10 movies of all time that I've seen. Just my favorite, which is crazy. A lot of my favorite movies have become animated, but more over the years. But that's definitely one of the ones that stuck with me. Safety Not Guaranteed, Hitch, Gladiator. Those are some of my favorites of all time. I love them. Not Spaceballs. Sorry, Jay. Maybe I'll rewatch it and it'll appeal to me. I like old people movies too.
I saw in theaters.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't mind. I don't even mind black and white. My mom would always watch old stuff, so I would get hooked. I would catch some stuff and get some recommendations. Like she ended up recommending me watch the original Day the Earth Stood Still because I saw the modern version, which was pretty mid, but the original was fantastic. I love it. So I wouldn't write off boomer movies. Definitely, there was definitely some good stuff back then, and movies have definitely not gotten better.
You know what one of my favorites of all time is that I think lives up? Tombstone. Western movie. It's got
I've heard. I think I saw Tombstone. I know I've heard Tombstone. I don't think I ever saw it.
Shoot, why am I blanking on everybody's name? Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Was that Jack Russell?
Yeah. It's got it's basically the story of like Wyatt Earp, and it's got Val Kilmer is absolutely incredible in it.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, Val Kilmer. Dude, it is the greatest Western movie of all time. I will literally die on that hill. It's got it's the story of like Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday and
the greatest Western.
Oh yeah, big time. Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, Powers Booth, Michael Bain, Bill Paxton, Val Kilmer, Thomas Hayden Church, Jason Priestley, believe it or not.
I got
Mike Brooker.
I got to add that to my boomer list. So
I promise you, if you don't like this movie, you can unfriend me. I feel like this is just one of those like all timers.
I don't think I've watched. There's actually a bunch of old stuff that I haven't gotten around to see yet. Like I don't think I've actually seen. Like I've seen like all the movies. I get all the references, but I don't remember at any point actually sitting down and watching The Godfather.
Yeah, I've definitely watched it at some point, but like, there you go. Each is with me.
Yeah, I've seen Scarface. I've seen Casino and all that stuff. I even sat through Citizen Kane.
Okay. Val Kilmer might be better in Tombstone than he is in Top Gun.
Well, that's not saying much. Top Gun. I like Top Gun, but I was like, it wasn't like a movie that changed my life or anything like that. Top Gun Maverick was glorious, but the original Top Gun, I was like, it's fine. Extremely homoerotic, but fine. Whatever.
Yeah, I cannot like. I mean, it's Sam Elliott as he is in every movie.
But I'll definitely check out I'll definitely add it to my boomer list of stuff to watch. I see Eastwood. I see Eastwood loves it.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
And I saw another. I don't have my recommendations for movies are usually like from the mid 2000s on or the 90s and mid 2000s on. But I was reminded the other day of Sean Connery and his outrageous Playboy interview, and I was like, oh man, it's so unfortunate because another one of my favorite movies of all time is Finding Forrester, and I just always loved that movie, but then when I saw and Sean Connery's great in it, it's just he's obviously a cranky old man, but he's got a lot of heart. He's really great. And then I saw his interview where he just talking about slapping women. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Sean! Don't ruin my movie. Don't ruin one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
it's still a great movie, but yeah, I definitely still recommend it. But holy Sean, Jesus! But hey, I'm Gen. How dare you? How dare you associate me with Gen Z?
you know what I just realized, and I actually realized a little while ago. You're like, oh, thanks for the raid, Fate Walker, and I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? We're on Twitch too, aren't we?
Yes, I'm looking at the OBS setup. So I see chat comments from both YouTube and Twitch as they come in.
I have not been like, because you just said Gen Z. I'm like, who? Like
that one was from Jedi Mind Tricks over on the Twitch side.
I have not even looked at. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we were simulcasting on Twitch and YouTube. Sadat the Gamer on Twitch and the Aftershow Podcast on YouTube. Definitely go leave a follow on both. More importantly, the Aftershow YouTube, because we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers eventually.
I am fading right now. If you haven't noticed.
For sure.
Like 2 hours of sleep.
Mr. Jedi Survivor, and fortunately, it's around that time. Anyway, we put in a good 2 hours or so. Sad that couldn't have Casual here, but maybe one day we'll get him back here, get the game all together. But we're also looking to getting another guest. I really want someone from Insomniac, but I'm thinking Sony's got them on a leash until the showcase. They don't want. We saw how crazy things got when Yuri just spoke off the cuff about mocap, how ridiculous that was. So I could definitely see that. We got this from the YouTube side from Eric. Did you say that Hitch was in your top 10? Absolutely. Hitch is one of my favorite movies. Before Will Smith was slapping comedians at award shows, he was Alex Hitchens, the date doctor for Kevin James, helping him. He was like a Andrew Tate that didn't hate women before Red Pill, YouTube and everything like that. He was basically a guy who would help. He was referral only, and he would help men get better. Jeremiah Tricks, thanks for the 5 gifty. And he gets hired by Kevin James's character because Kevin James works at a firm that represents this big celebrity heiress, but he's in love with her, so he's like, oh well, I gotta get the date doctor because that's my only shot because Kevin James looks like Kevin James in this movie, and he's very goofy, very clumsy, so obviously he has zero riz. But fortunately, Hitch has all of the riz, and he tried to teach Kevin James how to get the girl, and hilarity ensues. It's an amazing movie. I've seen it about 30 times. Anytime it's on TV, I will watch it. Andrew Tate has nothing on Alex Hitchens, but he probably would beat him in a fight. But I don't know. Hitch does no karate or some kind of martial art in this one, so who knows how that one will go. Debate it. I will get out here. We'll catch you next week. Glad that we got the technical issues worked out for now. So this is going to hopefully not have any more late starts. I'm Sadat Gamer.
I am Jay Shocklast.
Zip it up and zip it out.